How you feeling, man?
All right. What up, people? This is Plan in Traffic. My name is Lewis Lee from All Ins Media and host of Plan in Traffic. Like to thank everybody in the chat room and on Facebook Live and YouTube Live. So if you have any questions, just hit it in the chat room and we'll try to get it in. We got my man Terry. Tell him what's up.
Yo, couple man 66 in the house. What's up, gentlemen? Ladies and gentlemen, I should say. You know, got a full house tonight. Look at this. We got the heavy hitters in the house.
We got some peoples. We're trying to get Ryan in from Garage Squad.
He's a good guy. I was talking to him earlier tonight. It's going to be a live show. He's really knows the stuff and he's a good guy. This is a good guy.
Yeah, he really is. I was talking to him at a party at SEMA. One that you didn't go to.
Hey, listen, I was busy, man. I couldn't find you. I didn't know which one you were going to go to. You told me you were going to go to. Which party did you say you were going to go to? Dub party.
I did.
And that's where you saw him?
No, I saw him at the kicker party. What's up, Ryan?
You know about that one.
How's it going, guys?
Hey, what's going on?
What's happening?
We made it. We're in.
You're in.
He was a little nervous. He thought that he wasn't going to be able to make it in. He was a little nervous.
Well, I had some help from some of you guys. I was talking to Joe about getting in this thing. I'm kind of new to all this stuff, so me and Kingston both are. So.
Yeah. I'm glad to see you.
All right, so introduce yourself and tell them where you're from.
All right, so I'm Ron Gregurich from Garage Squad. We're from Joliet, Illinois, which is kind of near Chicago. And we got Jeff King here.
Yeah, my mom's
Jeff.
And also live in the suburbs of Chicago, and I've been with the show for 6 seasons now.
Yep.
It's been on 6 seasons already?
Yep. We're cranking up
time.
7 here as soon as all the craziness calms down from the world.
Yeah, right? And it's hitting everybody, man. It's like crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
So what are you guys working on? What are you guys working on there at your place?
All right. Well, we're in Kingsford's garage here because he gets a little bit better reception. He's got a what year is this thing?
You know what? I actually don't really know because I don't have a title for it, but it's like a early '90s Mustang. So
yeah, Fox body.
Yep, Fox body, notchback. Doing
notchback in the house.
Yeah.
Hold on, it gets better. Terry's the guy right here. Listen to what he's gonna put in this thing.
Okay, so I'm building a 408 LS for it, and eventually want to turbo it, but I think I'm just going to put it together for now just to get it on the road. So
good to know you, man.
Yeah, you made Terry's day.
Oh
yeah.
It's funny because I got a Lincoln Mark 8, which is similar to that car, and well, actually, it's the next gen. And I'm going to put an LS in that thing with a 6-speed.
Awesome.
Yeah, and drift.
Make it run.
Yeah, drift it.
We got my man Ray going to come in from Motor Mouth Radio. He's our affiliate radio channel. What's up, Ray?
Hi, how you doing, Wise? Nice to meet you.
So everybody that comes on Planet Traffic ends up on his show, his radio show on Sundays.
Okay.
So we'll get you all connected up so you can bounce over there too.
And it's fun. Yeah.
We appreciate that.
Ray is the knowledge of he's the wisdom of the Planet Traffic show.
Oh boy. You guys are in trouble.
And quite the drummer.
Sounds like we got a tri-power of wisdom with all three of you.
I don't know what all that.
Tri-power. Kayak. Yes. In the house.
No?
I speak tri-power.
They build excitement.
Right.
So Ron, tell us how you got on the show and how did it all come about?
So being on the show is kind of unique. So I had a 1969 Chevelle. It was locally owned around here, where all the hot rodders are pretty closely together. Everybody knows everybody. You know how it is.
Mm-hmm.
And had the car for a while. It was sitting. Good old 69 Chevelle. Not a bad car.
Nice car.
And, the show was the burner was set over at Joe's shop over here in near Joliet in Minooka, and he got the pilot, and they made it work, and they were looking for cars. And being I know Joe for probably 20-something years, I was like, wow, I'm gonna get my car done. I'm local. This couldn't be a better thing. My car's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Submitted my car. talking to some people about it on the show. Don't know who I was talking to, probably the executive directors and stuff. And it got handed off to Joe, and Joe's like, he's like, I know that car. Kind of looked at it, and he goes, that's Ronnie, you know? So he called me up and says, come on down to the shop. I got to talk to you about your car and your submission. I'm like, okay. So being I knew what was going on around there because it was new, I figured my car was getting done. Well, I get down to Joe's shop, and he's like, you know what? Your car's good now. It's perfect. But he's like, I need you. Yeah, I kind of been one of those guys who's been kind of a jack of all trades, like a MacGyver type, kind of like get anything done anywhere with nothing, you know?
Yeah.
And it's kind of key to Garage Squad for all of us to be that way. So that's what makes us good at our jobs is our adaptability to the situations.
Mm-hmm.
And Joe sees that and recognizes that, and he's able to put that together. And you know that's why we are where we are. You know, we got the right guys in the right positions to make this stuff happen. It's sure luck and a little bit of location, a little bit of talent. I'm not saying I'm that great, but I can get stuff done. And Kingster's the same way, and so is Cy. We can all adapt. You know.
Right. Well, you know what I like about the show is that you have the people that own the car jump in and touch it too, and that makes a difference.
Well, that's just it too. That being we can work with them and show them, and they can learn how to, and the viewers too. They can learn that they can do things in their garage without any special tools that we don't have and don't bring with us. We're working basically. I don't want to say with junk, but we don't have brand new tools. We don't have nice stuff. We just get the jobs done. You know.
Yeah. Sure do.
And people are learning along the way, the viewers and especially the owners, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of noticed every season that the stuff that you do have increased a little bit, like the van got bigger, and then there was like an engine hoist, and so that was kind of a nice nice lineage. And I guess it had to happen, right?
Yeah, we find a way to pack it in tighter every year because there's always more stuff that we're trying to do. Which it's getting to the point where we're maxed out on the guys, the builds, how far we can go versus the timeline, you know, because production, you know, it keeps us down into a certain number of days. And we're about maxed out what we can do, for sure. Especially if there's paint involved, which we don't like doing. Everybody
What kind of things are the biggest detriment on a build like that when you're working, obviously, in somebody's garage, not in a shop? What to you, what are the biggest detriments that you have to deal with?
The biggest detriment? What would you say, Kingster?
Well, personally, because everybody has different, things that they hate to do or like to do. So, what do you hate to do, or what box do you hate to be in most?
Okay, as far as I'm concerned, paint. Yeah, I don't do paint. I'm not a finisher. I've never learned it. I'd like to learn, but right now I don't paint, so paint's not my thing. Just because I don't know how to do it. I'm not proficient with it. I like to stare at the car and get the rear ends done, the transmissions done, the driveline done, all that kind of stuff, and help Joe with the engine if he needs a little bit of hand. But the paint's not my cup of tea for sure.
Yeah.
What is your favorite thing to do
for it? What's that?
What is your favorite thing to do?
Mine or Kingster's?
Yours. Sorry.
I would say probably I like building transmissions and rear ends for sure.
Okay.
That's kind of been my thing for a long time. I do a lot of diesel and 4-wheel drive work, and the transmissions are always going on all those things. And I've built them for many years, and I like doing that stuff. I don't know why, because it's messy and it's not fun, but I just like getting them done.
It's not glamorous. It's not the thing like a motor when you pop the hood.
Yeah.
Right.
The transmission is like the part of the car people kind of shy away from. They like an afterthought. They're like, oh man, I guess I got to deal with this transmission now.
Yeah.
You got it. Yep.
Yeah.
What about you, Jeff?
Part of the vehicle.
Yep.
What about you, Jeff? What's your specialty?
Well, I mainly come from the paint and body world, so that's kind of where I started off when I was younger. So I kind of like to do some paint and body on the show. It's kind of fun. I'm usually stuck doing it all. So,
yeah.
But I enjoy it just because you see the finished product and it's such a big change. So it's like just the finished work is just I really like it. So
yeah, paint is the candy.
Yeah,
Yes, it is.
It's also the hardest thing for us just because we're in a normal garage, so that's what's tough. And there's ventilation, no good air. So
Yeah.
it's tough, but we make do with what we got usually. So
That's what makes the show. You know what I mean? That, like you said, that it's just let's pull in the garage and hit it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. One car might need paint. One car might need everything else. You just never know what we're getting into until we take it apart. So.
Yep. Let's see, we got any questions over in the chat room? Let's see what's going on here.
Yeah, as we all know, no job is really textbook. There's always that hidden component. It's like you don't know what you're going to find when you take something apart or when you try to put something back in. It's like it don't always work.
That's right. The name of the game is aftermarket parts and how well they don't fit. And that's one thing that Joe and Bruno love to talk about is how parts don't fit.
Right.
You're always trying to tweak a starter, buy a header. You're always trying to drop a distributor in where you got to grind a casting on a head. There's always something that it does. What takes 5 minutes supposed to takes 2 hours.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then we're there all night.
Yeah.
Or why that fuel injection system doesn't run when you turn the key. I don't know. There's always something. The transmissions always work though.
There you go. And that's the stuff we take for granted, the transmission in the rear.
Right.
Yeah, in the rear with the gear.
Yeah.
And exhaust systems. I mean, you guys are doing exhaust systems on jack stands, which like blows me away. I hate doing them on a lift,
Yeah, every time. You know what the hardest thing is too? A small garage, trying to put exhaust on, and you got like a foot of room between the back of the car and the wall. And you're trying to make tailpipes so square and come out the back of the car right. You can't even back up to look to see if it's pointing right.
Yeah.
So it's just, it pulls out of the garage, and sometimes it's nice, and sometimes it's like, oh God, I hope they don't see that, because there's just no room. You just can't do it.
Yeah.
And it's part of the candy. You like those pipes sticking out just right.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
So what? Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say the thing that gets me is when I always look. I'm a guy that looks behind the subject. I'm always looking I'm looking at the speaker on your shelf right now. I'm not looking at you. Anyway, so I look into the scene all the time. It's just something I do, and I notice that sometimes these garages, these guys are set up pretty damn good. I mean, it looks like a nice little home shop, and you wonder like why. What really stopped somebody from working on this car? They have the tools, they have the equipment. And that backstory, sometimes it comes out, sometimes it doesn't. It always has me wondering, why? Because I could work in that garage.
Yeah. Well, you can have all the tools in the world, and you can have all the fancy stuff in a beautiful shop, but it still takes the talent, and sometimes it's a lack of talent, or it's how life played out to these people and why they can't do it.
Yeah.
But there is a little bit amount of talent to get to that point, and we come along and finish that off for them. We're the key somewhere. We're that missing link to getting that car done.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yep.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Rick.
No, shoot, come on. It was that the thought.
On the show, what was your most what vehicle was your favorite on the show?
That's very tough because and that's probably the most asked question that we get is what's my favorite? And favorites are hard to do because there's cars that we go look at I want nothing to do with. I'm just like, oh, this an example would be like a 79 Trans Am or something, just kind of a car that's just not, to me, not desirable. But you go there and after about 2 days we become family with that family.
Mm-hmm.
And then you realize the connection that the owner or the family has with that car. All of a sudden that car becomes just as valuable to you as it does to them. So when people ask for favorites, I can't, because I see the value that they have for these cars. And no matter how much of a pilot is, I understand when I leave.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where it's at for me. You know what I mean? That's actually my answer for that. I can't answer that because I see the connection.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm sure that there's cars you don't really like, and there's got to be people you don't really like too.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure it goes both ways.
Yeah. There's always some. No, but I mean, if I was to pick a favorite, it'd probably be a 4-wheel drive truck of some sort, something that we go and hammer on the mud, because that's what I like to do. But it's tough, very tough to answer, because there's always tears at the end, and you understand why the backstory, you know, and there's a lot that you don't get to hear not being there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's funny. I have a car that I own. I've owned it since 1975, and it sat in a garage for 20 years without being used. And my wife and sister-in-law, they were saying, "Yo, we got to get you on overhauling, because you're not getting that car done." I'm like, "No, I'm going to get it done." And fast forward a few years, I finally sat down, knuckled under, and did it. And when I had my wife come out to look at it when I first started it, she's like, "Yeah, misty." She's starting to cry. I'm like, "What's the matter? Is the car on fire?" And she said, "No, I just replayed in my head from when we dated in that car to when you dragged, when we drove it, and then you dragged it home, and it looked like hell. Every piece of it looked terrible. And then you sat out here every day and just took it apart, and we're filthy dirty for a year. And now it's running again." And she had a moment, and I'm like, "Wow, that touched me." It really did.
Yeah.
I was too close to it,
Right.
So yeah, I can see how that's got to be powerful stuff.
Yeah, man.
It is. And in a short period of time, too. We do this stuff in a week, 7 days, and it happens quick. You really see the connection people have. It's an amazing thing, and or what it does to the family, how it brings people together. Everybody's tied to a car in some form or fashion. Everybody. I don't care who you are. Everybody knows a car in a family somewhere that means something to somebody. Every single person.
Sure.
That's true.
Yeah.
So are you building anything right now for yourself?
For myself, no. I've got a lot of things slated to build. But I keep customers. I got builds going, trying to get out the door, and they're just daunting tasks. They never end. There's always something going on. There's always more to do or gets added on. So I've got a couple, 2, 3 I'm trying to get finished up. And I got probably 2 or 3 good ones I'm trying to get started. I'm buying a lot of parts for and allocating a lot of parts. So I'm getting excited, getting close to getting my stuff done.
And what are you working on? What are the favorite projects?
Next question.
All right. So I've got a 1968 Emc Javelin.
Nice.
Yeah, right now it's a 343 4-speed with air factory. It's a pretty nice car. It needs to be completely gone through, but I've got a lot of parts for that car, and it does run and drive as we speak.
Nice.
I've always been an AMC guy, so I've got a couple of Jeep pickups, a couple of M715 military Jeep pickups. And I want to make one in like a badass tow rig.
Yeah,
and one into a hot rod truck, something kind of power tour type thing, something to really hammer on,
Yeah.
While the Javelin will be more pro touring. And then that's kind of where I'm at. Then I got one 64 Jeep pickup that's same thing. It's gonna be like a trail rig. It's gonna be like a lot of horsepower, but they all gotta be drivers. Everything I own has to be driven. It can never be hauled anywhere. They all gotta drive and do their thing and drive home. And that's my goal with each one.
That's what's up.
And that makes a better build too.
For each one of them. I've been working on looking at 5 and 6 speed transmissions for one and the other, and trying to get some of that figured out. But I'm allocating a lot of parts for this stuff, hoping to get on the stuff probably next year. I got a couple builds I got to do, but then after that, it's all going to be my stuff.
Right.
One of our main guys here, Nelson Gill from Boss Hog Torque Converters.
He's in the house.
Yeah, he's in the house. He said, "Can he do anything for you? Help you out with torque converters?" He's the man.
He is the man.
Sure, he can. I actually, after we talked on the Car Owner Virus podcast, I hit him up on Facebook. I haven't had a chance to give him a shout yet, but I wanted to touch base with him on a couple of things I got going.
Yeah, he'll take care of you, man.
We'll make it happen, man. We'll make it happen. I got one of his torque converters in my Trailblazer SS. Every build that I build is usually a 6-speed, but I got a Trailblazer SS, which I just went right through with a supercharger I got on there, LSA. I went nuts. Once I disabled the all-wheel drive mechanism, my fridge was going to be a rear-wheel drive. Now I don't have to keep the wheels even. I went nuts. So I'm rocking his truck, and that truck flies. You'll be seeing a video soon.
I'll be looking out for that one.
Make sure
you
it's
tag me.
cool.
I want to see it.
Yeah, cool.
Oh,
Mm.
So Jeff, how far are you on your Mustang?
Unfortunately,
starting, huh?
not too far. I mean, it's the car. I bought the car, already had a cage in it. The floor, there's no floor in the car, so that's my next kind of big project on it. But like Ronnie's been doing, I've been collecting a lot of parts for it. I bought a whole kind of sheet metal interior for it. So
Right.
it's all tin aluminum. What else? I mean, I got the motor at the machine shop, so we're moving a little bit, but it's a slow process. So I mean, it needs paint too.
Yeah.
So
What's your plans?
400 in my future.
yeah, Ronnie's got to do the trans for me. So
what's your plans? You gonna drag race it or?
yeah, I want to be able to drive it on the road, but I want to take the drag strip here and there. That's the plan. But I want to be able to drive. That's the thing too. Like what Ronnie's saying, I got to be able to drive it. So when I have fun with it, take it out.
Well, I've come to find that when people really want to drive their cars, they do a better job on the build because they have to, because they don't want it to break. So, some of the show cars, they roll them off the trailer and half of them don't run.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not trying to go cheap on anything too. I've been trying to save money and just kind of put it towards it and just kind of not cheap out on anything. I just don't want to have any problems. I want to buy good stuff once. So
Right. How do you guys deal with parts management? Because what I'm going and I'm working on 2 cars for the guy. My car just went into the body shop to have the body work done and the paint. Headliner just got put in yesterday. And the guy who owns the shop, I'm rebuilding a couple of his cars. We bartered for the paint job. So, but he goes through the same thing I'm going through. I'm bringing parts in now that I've had for 4 years, and I find out that I've bought, like everything else, I bought a couple things twice or 3 times, and other stuff that I should have bought, I didn't. And I thought I had control of this, and I really don't. Like, how do you guys keep a handle on that?
Well, that's actually pretty difficult, like you're saying. We each build a list. So Joe gives us a hit list of what we're looking to do on each car, and we go through, and me and Cy and Kingster kind of dissect that. We break it down, and man, I don't know, because it turns into like sub lists where like Rock Auto's a big sponsor of ours. Everybody knows that. So Rock Auto gets their share, which is that's the piece of cake. That's just easy. Rock Auto's, it treats us well, and it's wonderful. And then from there on out, we do some budgeting where we go out, we buy what we need from wherever, and the teamwork. I mean, there's 4 of us versus 1 of you, so I don't know. We cover the bases, and then there's a lot of stuff in the van that leftover bits and pieces that I'll tell you what, they're keys to every build. All this small hardware and stuff that people just kind of throw away. We've got boxes of this stuff in the van, and we dig through it every episode, and it saves our butt every time with linkage stuff. The little ball for your carburetor, the little a base gasket, a stud kit, whatever kit, a fan spacer. It doesn't matter. All that stuff's in there somewhere, and we dig through and we use that stuff up.
That's
as far as big stuff, if we miss something, next day here every time. I mean, it's if we're in trouble, it's next day here, and it has to be. There's no other way.
Nice. Right.
So
now, Ray, I'm going to give you a tip. A wise man, Stacy David, sent me a build book, and when I tell you this book is so thorough, when you're done going through this book, putting in stuff, I'm telling you, put together a heck of a book, man. I have to get you some information on it.
What was it like?
You told me about this before.
Yeah, Stacy David. I ain't in my office, but it's like a parts, like every page. It's hard to explain. It's like the engine. So it has a page for the engine, and you put all the information in of what you want to do, prices. I mean, you just work your way through the whole build.
I've been going through this again, like digging out everything is in there, receipts, and I save everything. But then it's a matter of, like I said, over time, over 4 years of putting stuff together, and now I've been driving the car. So the interior wasn't in it, the interior wasn't done, and I threw some of the bright work on the outside just so it didn't look so bad. But I had all new stuff in the wings, and you forget what you've
Well, this book will solve that problem. I'm telling you, it's pretty tough.
Can't hurt.
Yeah.
See that book.
Yeah, Stacy. I wish I had it with me, but I just moved and almost just packed up. But Stacy, he didn't mess around with this book. I'm telling you.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Yeah, you mentioned that before, loosely. I want to see that book.
Yeah. He sells them online on his website.
I'm gonna check. I'm gonna have to get me one.
Yeah, it's pretty tough, and it keeps track of everything you've done to the vehicle, the pricing, and a record of everything. It's pretty
I
tough.
don't want to even know what I'm spending.
I did that with a notebook, and then what I did is I took the spiral notebook and I retranscribed it on loose leaf in a binder. I broke it in half. Half of it was just parts that I bought, and then the other part is work that I did. So, and some of it, obviously, it crosses over, and I've gone back to that too to look at stuff. But actually, I did it more as like a diary, so that whoever has this car after me has like a full, the full pedigree and full history.
Yeah, that's the way this book is. But see, with your kind of money, Ray, it don't matter. You just buy parts.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
The only time I want to know how much I spend on the car is like right before I start the car up. Okay, good. Okay.
Yeah,
I haven't added up anything.
I don't know.
Subsystem. That's about it. That's about it.
Never add up.
No.
Yeah, never let your wife see it.
You just look at
You
how
don't-
much
and you
you're
don't
talking about,
count
how much
your
left you got
car.
to spend is all. I never add up what I spent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never let your wife find that envelope.
And
But
it's always empty.
you guys are near Joliet. Is that near the Bean?
The Bean's like downtown Chicago.
Yeah.
No.
We're probably like 45 minutes south.
I tell you a story real quick. I was in Chicago. I was down at Millennium Park. That's what it's called.
Yep.
Right. And I was walking, and I sat down in an area, and it just felt like I've been there before. I was just like, but I didn't think nothing. I've never been to Chicago before. So I'm just sitting there, I was eating a hot dog, which you guys put pickles on, which is kind of tasty. It was really tasty. And so I'm sitting there, right, and I just felt like I've been here before. And then it hit me. It was right where, you familiar with the Blues Brothers? Everyone knows the Blues Brothers. I was sitting right in the area, right in that place where they drove the car through the glass door at the very end. I couldn't believe it. I was like, I had to knock on the door. This was on a Sunday. I knocked on the door, got the security guard, and I said, "Excuse me." He goes, "Yes, this is where the Blues Brothers." They drove the car to the lobby. They ran across the street. They ran upstairs. This is exactly where it is. I was like, "Thank you very much."
He knew all about it. Huh?
That's where the whole car fell apart, I think.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right in front. I was right where the car fell apart.
Yeah, that's the grass squad event at the end of every season. Is it the whole thing falls apart?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a Blues Brothers edition.
Yeah.
So you have no clue when the new season's going to start filming, or because of this virus?
We don't know. Our first actual date was supposed to be April 13th, and then obviously it got pushed to I think May 1st, and we're pretty sure that's not going to happen until mid-May, I'm told, maybe, and maybe June 1st. It all depends on this whole thing, but I know they're looking for they're looking for us to start. The network wants some content, So and we want to give it to them, but our hands are tied. So.
Mm-hmm. Now, how do you pick the cars? You have people submit on the internet, or how's that work?
Right. Yeah. So they submit on GradSquadTV.com or through like the Facebook site or something like that, and they get literally tens of thousands of them. And Motor Trend, I'm pretty sure Motor Trend kind of it's like a system where they get handed down to Joe eventually, through the production and all that, and then they narrow it down a little bit to help out, because there's quite a bit there.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, I was wondering about the selection process too. Like, how many cars are proposed and how many actually get done, and what are the things that are like definitely no way we're not getting involved with this thing. It's definitely a reject, or what things could be a possible like, oh, absolutely this one's going on TV. Do you guys
Well,
have that kind of a filter?
Oh yeah, so we'll get some, like they're show cars. There's nothing needs to be done, and people submit them. It's just like, well, we hear it from Joe because we don't get to see some of that stuff, but we hear some of the stuff where like people are like submitting like show cars where they're done, ready to go, and there's some there got trees growing through them 3 feet in diameter. It's just like, well,
Right.
both of them are out the window because we don't.
Can't fix them in a week.
Right.
Yeah, it's either too much or too little.
Yeah.
But the good all around car that's been in the garage or been sitting out back for even, well, you saw the one F3 was like set for 50 something years or 47 years. That one worked because we just replaced everything, but it had good bones. You know what I mean?
Right.
That was on the extreme edge of what we would do. Anything with paint is on the extreme edge of what we would do. But generally, I don't know. I mean, for the most part, most cars fit the bill. Then it comes down to we need a little bit of story to it too. We need a little bit of this, a little bit of that. We want a good balance of story and car. But it's just there's a lot of things involved with getting a car on the show. There really is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you can help with that at all. I'm trying to explain some of it.
Yeah, I mean, like he was saying, like any major paint and body, like if it's not just like a quick like sand it down and respray it, or like any major like rust, like that would be kind of tough to do in a week. It's just it's hard to do all that kind of stuff in a couple days.
It was like a 50s pickup that was in a barn a couple of years ago, and I think it was blue. It blew under the rust, but the truck didn't get painted. It just kind of got scuffed up and then just cleared. And kept its petite. Yeah. And I thought that was pretty cool. It was a nice tribute.
Which one was that?
That was the
F3.
Yeah, the F3.
That was the F3. That was
in the barn too.
Yeah.
With the dirt floor and all.
Terrible for us, just because we had a complete engine, a complete trans that we just repowered it completely with that, and a complete new rear end.
Yeah, we did.
So it was mainly just putting the big parts in it and just re-clearing the truck. I mean, it was still a lot of work for us, but
that was a lot of work. Yeah, but everything else worked. So it's just installing it. You know what I mean? It's like, how much can a guy do? And literally, it's 5 days. How much can we do in 5 days? Because you got a day of discovery and a day of reveal. So really, it's 5 days total. It's a 7-day build, but it's 5 days. How much can we do in 5 days? Yeah. We've tapped it on most cars. It's been close where we don't get them done, but there's not one we have not gotten done, and it's been close. It's been close. Yeah. Once we get weather, we get rain dripping on us because the garages. You're trying to the 2 cars we painted that I can remember. The garage, 3 at least. The garage leaked on us.
Leaking on the paint.
Yeah, literally. So it's just, what do you do? I mean, it's the environment. It's just there's so much around us that's affecting us, but we keep on keeping on.
Right.
That's what's up.
Yep. Now, how far do you guys travel? Do you go just on west of the Mississippi or east of the Mississippi, or where?
Kind of Chicagoland area for now. So we'll go far north side and then all the way down like to Pontiac, Illinois. But they do entertain all submissions from everywhere, just because one day we're hoping we can go a little further out and make dreams come true just a little bit further away from home.
I think Youngstown, Ohio would be a great place for you to stop by.
A lot of cars here on Long Island too.
Hey, New York is endless.
I got a few outside.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. We'd love to go everywhere we could. That's for sure. We'd love it.
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
Speaking of helping, a lot of times you have people involved, family members, and how much of a help and or hindrance has that been in filming the show?
It's always a help, because the first thing I want to do is teach them what they need to know to keep the car going after we leave. There's a lot of worth involved with that. A lot of to me, it's priceless knowledge for them. So I wanted to make sure that they can keep their car going without us, because I don't want to sit another 20 years. When something fails. I can talk them through it. Always give me they can call any of us if something goes wrong, but they're never a hindrance. We we pull them in as much as we can, and we kind of figure out how much they can handle when we get there, and then we put them in the right spots to help us out accordingly.
Good. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Team management key.
Team management. Yep. And the same thing with the parts, the management. Like I say, getting back to that parts thing a little bit. Once again, with a 5-day build, we know what we're getting into. We know how much we can do. We can have all the parts in the world, but we can't do it all in 5 days. So we only get the amount of money and the amount of time limits how much we can do to a car.
Yeah, there's been plenty of times that I've seen where the owner said the engine was okay or it had been rebuilt, and then you start looking at it and take a few things apart, and you find out, you know what? No, this thing's got to come apart. This thing is. You need an engine.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we did that Challenger last year, the green Challenger, and all the 440s rebuilt, and then take it apart, and it wasn't rebuilt. The guy got shafted. So luckily, we've got a machine shop close by, and they knocked everything out for us right out of the park right away. They help us out a lot. They really do a good job for us.
I thought of that because the Chevelle that I've been restoring for this guy that I've been working on, same thing. He bought the car, and it was the kind of car not many people could ever restore because of the amount of rust it had on it, and rust in places that I haven't seen rust before. But it just so happens the guy owns a body shop and he's got a full facility. So, he restored it. He brought a car back that should have been back to the earth. But needless to say, the engine was nice, bright Chevy orange, because the owner said, well, I rebuilt the engine, and then I realized I couldn't go any further, so I'm selling the car. So I'm looking at this thing. My job was to get this engine running and do the mechanicals. And I got to a point, I said, I'm looking at these heads. I said, something's wrong. He goes, why? I said, well, you can see heads are painted. Look in the exhaust ports, and you see an orange paint on carboned up, old crusted valves and valve guides. Like, these heads were never apart. So I had a theory. I said, maybe the guy didn't bottom end. Maybe he had a good set of heads on here, maybe even aluminum heads. And then when he sold the car, he threw the old parts back on and just painted them up. Well, it ended up being worse than that. It ended up, the bottom end was okay. The guy threw a solid lifter cam in the car with hydraulic lifters. I actually got it to run. I got the car running, but I knew something was wrong. So again, it was drilling down, and the car owner didn't want to take it apart. And I said, listen, right from the get-go, I want to just tear this thing down and start from scratch. He's like, no, I'm getting deeper by the day. I don't want to do that. Well, we ended up doing that, of course, because we had to. Yeah. And I kept thinking of TV. I'm like, what if this was a TV show? Like, this would have been like a total cluster bomb,
That's one of the factors in me looking at stuff to buy. When the guy says, oh, I rebuilt it.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I mean? All right. See ya.
That's your credential for rebuilding. Yeah.
Yeah.
We just ran into that this past season. That was season 6 then, right? So it was that black Chevelle.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
And, we fired it up, and it was just like a horrible knocking noise.
Yeah.
But it only ran for like a second. And we're like, what the hell is going on? Did it again. We thought it was like maybe the starter sticking. A couple other things. We kept checking it, and eventually we pulled the motor out and pulled the pan, and there was a main cap completely loose.
No, a rod cap.
Was it? Oh yeah, it was a rod cap.
A rod cap was forgot. They didn't torque a rod cap on one of the rods.
Nice.
We literally looked at the bearing. It was a day before reveal day, and they were changing the scheduling around for the next episode because it would have just screwed everything up. So we're changing everything around. We literally pulled that engine out while it was hot. Not hot, but after it just got done running. In the air, fixed that rod bearing, put it back in the car, and had it running that day fixed so we can continue the season the way it was supposed to go.
Right.
Nice.
They call that an old.
Yeah, and cross your fingers and say, let's just hope the pistons are right. Let's hope the rods aren't in. Hope the caps are on right. Because you never know.
Yeah.
As I was coming up, getting older, I'm like, oh, I really want to rebuild a motor myself and do it everything. And the more I look at it and think about it, I'm like, you know what? I'm dropping it off at the shop, man. I ain't playing around. You know what I mean? Because you put one wrong piece in, and then you're screwed.
Don't forget, you got to have everything torqued, tolerances and everything like that. You better off the machine shop.
It's not for everyone, but it's not impossible. It really isn't. If you just take your time and you work meticulously, and get your reference materials and talk to people to find out. You know, maybe because I do it. I don't know. I don't think it. I say you could do it. You know.
Well, here's the thing. When I had my carburetors on my bike, I was like, you know what? I'm going to rebuild them. I called my buddy. He's like, come over. I'll show you how to do them. So we go over to his house. He tears them apart, and I see like 50,000 pieces. I'm like, man, look, if you just miss one little spring, now the bike's jacked. I was like, nah, you go ahead and do it.
If you do it on a regular, if you're gonna do it for like building it up for a hobby, engines, if that's your thing, do it. Totally. But for the guy who's just building one car and this is it and everything like that, I mean, if you want to go to all that route and learn all the torque specs and the green can and all that, and you want to go through, it's good to know. But most people want to just get the thing done and put it together. They don't want to deal with the bottom half of the engine. They want to slap the heads on. They want to slap the intake on. Go to carburetor, fuel injection. They want to do that part of the car and maybe throw a cam in there. But they don't want to do the bottom end where that's where, you know, it's pretty. You gotta know what you're doing.
You know, it's really funny when you work with other people. Again, I was working with this shop owner, and I was finally getting this engine to run. Dropped the distributor in, and I was setting up the rotor with the cap, and I just saw something on his face, and I read it, and I said, "All right," I said, "You're questioning what I'm doing." He goes, I'm just watching," and he'd been playing with cars for a long time, as long as I have. And I said, "I know what you're looking at." I said, "You think you'll wait? You're looking to see the rotor point to the number one cylinder, aren't you?" He goes, "Yeah, that's how I learned it." I'm like, you know what? I learned it that way too. Somewhere back in my way past, somebody said that, and I picked it up. And then I realized, like, no, you got to point the rotor at the number one tower of the cap. It may just happen to point towards the number one cylinder, but it doesn't always. And that moment,
Right.
I just saw it like drain out of him, like, oh man, I shouldn't be doing this stuff. I said, no, it's okay. I said, it's a misconception you had, and it just took 40 years for you to get the right information.
Yeah.
You know? So I love those moments. They become teachable moments, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But the worst moment you can have as a builder is waking up in the middle of the night thinking, did I torque those main tabs? After that fan is on, that engine is in that car, it's like, did I torque that? I didn't go and check that. And it's like, I did, but I don't remember doing it. You know, because you go through the steps and emotions. That's the scariest thing as a builder, you know?
Yeah.
But that's where the meticulousness, and that's where I find that the regimentality of it comes in. Like, I do things in certain orders all the time, and that's why you do it, because you're not going to, the very small chance of you missing that step. But again, that comes with practice and experience and, years of doing it. But
I've never missed it, but you think about it a lot. You just
you think about it until the car starts up. You think about it until the car starts up. Like, I wonder if I missed anything. You know, like, I wonder if did I torque that? You don't want to take it out because it was like, I'm gonna roll with it. A couple weeks later, you just pray and you start the car up.
But here's my problem. I always find an extra bolt somewhere. I'm like, where's this bolt go?
Oh yeah,
that's how we get parts stashes. A lot of times it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Well, there's always that bolt spin of parts, leftover stuff.
Oh
like,
yeah.
Well, it works.
At the shop, what I did is I brought in. I use those gray metal boxes. There's a name for them. They go into like tracks. It's in a, it's like a little cabinet, and you can pull the metal boxes out and take them with you. It's
like a hopper thing.
Yeah, they're all over. Every shop has them. So what I did is I was doing so many top end jobs, carburetor jobs, and heads and intakes. I brought my one box with me. My one box that has, like you said before, Ronnie, all of the little carburetor balls and all of those special nuts for the linkage and linkage pieces and ball cranks. And I just stuck it in the thing at the shop. And the guys were looking at me like, what's this? I'm like, this is going to save our ass, is what this is. And they saw me going in it a few times and took a look at it and said, I'm like, I know what everything in there is. I could probably even tell you what car it's off of, because you took it off, you saved it. I said, this is the stuff you can't buy in the store. It's not on a help board. You tell a parts guy and, it's just not available stuff. So that's the stuff that's, key. You could deal without you can work without a ratchet or a wrench, but you can't not make the carburetor work without that ball stud.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, that's what we have. We've got those little plastic organizers, and man, I'll tell you, I just fill them all the time with just junk stuff because I know what we're gonna need. You know, after doing this stuff long enough, you know to keep that stuff as gold. You know,
Right.
it just gets you by.
Right.
So,
Now we were talking about this. I don't remember. I think we were talking about it here a while ago. Like, what are you gonna? What are we? I worry about this. Like, what am I going to do with all that stuff I've collected? Over, like, you know, when I'm not going to use it anymore. You know, you don't want to just see it. You know, just go to waste or just hit the dumpster somewhere. You know, so I've been trying to find ways of giving it to people younger than me, like pay it forward. Like, take this if you know you're going to need this if you're playing. You know, if you're in that game. Because I've seen too many guys like it just dies with them. You know, I mean, it's one thing the guys that won't share the knowledge and it dies, and that's just waste. That's stupid. But the parts too. You know, I mean, I've told my wife 900 times, like all this stuff I've brought down the basement, like the cylinder heads and the transmissions, like it's all worth something. Yeah, it's here because it's worth something. So don't throw it out. Sell it. What's that, Terry?
Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist. Someone will buy it.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. The internet's opened up the world. You know what I mean? So somebody needs it somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but you have to know what you have, and that's why I had this talk with her, and that's how I just got my drum set. That new drum set was the same thing. It was two guys who were into drums who made a pact with each other. Whoever dies first, the other guy is going to help sell off the stuff for his family because they know what it's worth. And I told my wife, I said, whether it's the Aurora cars or my guns, or if it's the car stuff or the motorcycle stuff or the tools, like, you know which friends of mine are into that like I am. You contact
let her know I'm coming over to help her with the guns.
Put your name on the list. Yeah.
I'm going to beat you to it.
And, you know, and like, you know, you let these guys help you sell the stuff. And then, of course, you know, you take care of him. You cut him in on the deal. I have no problem with that. Or you give them the stuff. I'd rather see a friend get it, but don't throw it out.
Yeah.
That's right.
So
that happens a lot, man.
Yeah.
And, we've all had that to where a hot rodder buddy of ours passes away, and you get that phone call to help with all that stuff. I mean, I think we all have. I've been through a few garages where I've had to dismantle someone's dreams because they passed away.
It's sad.
And I tell you what, that's one daunting task.
It is.
You know, buckets of bolts. I got all the same stuff.
Right.
Just buckets of stuff. Literally, you know, piles of flywheels and flex plates. And you think, all right, maybe I wouldn't save all this stuff, but he did for a reason.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I got to research part numbers. It's a daunting task, and it's scary. It's a scary thing to think about.
Yeah.
Yeah. It really is. And, you know, it's really stressful for a woman to lose her husband, and then she has all this stuff to deal with.
And don't know what to do with it.
Right. And then she has his friends that are not really friends trying to get everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's why I told my wife, you know which friends of ours I value and I do this stuff with. Those are the guys you call. You know, they're the inside circle. You call them and let them make the decision, you know, and that's that. But Terry, this guy that I got the drum set from, the fellow that now he collects, he's a musician. He's been in music his whole life. So he's got like maybe, I think he said he has 25 or 35 collectible snare drums that are worth anywhere between $500 to like $2,000. But the guy whose stuff he's helping sell has like 60 to 75 snare drums that are drums that are worth thousands of dollars. So he said, I thought I had a lot of stuff. I didn't realize my buddy had like 4 times the amount that I had. He's like, I don't know where to begin. You know, so I'm watching his eBay auctions every day. There's more stuff on eBay, you know.
Does he have a 60s piccolo snare that I like so much?
He does have a piccolo snare. Yes. I'll send you a link.
Please.
And he's in New York.
I have no clue what even that stuff is.
Terry, he's closer to you than he is to me. He's just over the bridge in New York. So
I'm looking for a nice earth ride, you know. I mean,
I know he's got a piccolo snare. I know that because he did a YouTube video on it. Yeah. So again, you know, all that cool stuff.
Now, you were talking earlier, Ray, about the generations as far as like, pass this information on. Don't save it, like pass it on. And, you're right about that because I was talking to Ron earlier and he does his part, which really is a beautiful thing because we were talking about in school. When we were in school, we had a program, like an automotive program.
Right.
I don't think that automotive program exists in my school, my old high school, because sometimes I drive past it, and my cousins, they have friends that go to that school, and they say, "Oh no, there's no automotive program. There's no." They barely have a music program now.
Wow.
And that's sad, because I remember being in the shop class, and I still remember working on. We had oh my God, what was it? 70. I think it was a 70 Thunderbird in that classroom with the suicide doors.
Yeah.
And we proceeded to beat the snot out that car, but yet at the end we had to get this thing running. So I definitely strongly recommend trying to get those classes back. And I know Ron, he's heavy into that. We were talking about that not too long ago, and we were getting into it. Ron, talk to him, tell him what's good.
Yeah, tell us about it.
Yeah. So the F3, it kind of started with that F3 we did, the 1951, 50 or 51. I forgot what his truck was. That patina truck, that F3. So he's a high school teacher for Pontiac, Illinois, down there, and he's part of a vocational program that it's got about 7 or 8 schools involved, and he seems to be like a lot of the energy behind all that. And he's like, "What do you think about coming down and talking to the kids one day?" I'm like, "Sure." So me and Cy went down and chatted with all the kids. Kingster was working that time; he couldn't get away, but and everybody gets busy. But we went down there, and it just kind of snowballed into more schools, more visits with another place up in Sycamore. They do vocational school at Kishwaukee College. And there's another teacher up there, Bill Rogers. He's heavily involved. He's a teacher. And he and I took a ride to UTI, because I am a UTI graduate from like 1993, I believe. And we just kept going on, talking with teachers and students, and just trying to keep some energy going, with the fact that a lot of counselors are kind of like blocking, telling kids that, hey, you got to have a degree to go anywhere in life and this and that. And it's not the case. I mean, here we are. Here a lot of us guys are. We're very successful. There's good jobs. It's not bad work. I don't mind getting dirty. I think it keeps me healthier. I don't think COVID-19 lives in a greasy engine.
Yeah.
Right. But I enjoy what I do. I like working with my hands, And the kids see that. And like I think I was telling Terry earlier, I saw a post one day on a machinist's Facebook page about Bridgeports. Guy had a pilot Bridgeports. What do I do with these? How much are they worth? And what can I do with these things? And I put a post, and there's hundreds of comments. I'll buy one, all the way down the line. And mine was, donate them to your local school.
Yeah.
Put them where someone can learn from them. Not in your garage where you're going to hide it from the world. Let these kids learn how to use this equipment, because this is what they need. Forget the games, forget all this other stuff. Get out there, and learning that math on how to machine parts is like a common sense class that it just proves itself for the rest of your life. It can take you places.
Ronnie, I hate to say this. I work at a college. I'm a faculty member at a college, and one of the things we had a couple of years ago was this workforce development class for these students. They were pretty much sold the bill of goods through the high schools. I mean, these were, for lack of a better term, they were underachieving. They weren't scholarly type students, okay? But they had ability, and a lot of them had mechanical aptitude. So they put them in this class, and it was this workforce development thing. And they took them to a manufacturing plant out here on the island and showed them, like, okay, if you can pass this class and get the information needed, these guys out here on the floor can make up to $70,000 a year in a supervisory position. Okay. So the thing was, they had to know machine shops. I've worked at a machine shop. So I actually brought in my own hand tools to my micrometers, my dial indicators, the veneers, scales, you name it. I mean, I just brought everything in because we didn't have it at the school. And we're teaching them how to measure. And you're finding out, like, these guys don't know how. They forget about the micrometer. That was going to be like for later. But they couldn't go between inch and decimal. They couldn't make that transition. And I was like, guys, you got to be able to know like a half is 0.5. There's common, at least learn the common ones, and then you'll be able to fill in the gaps. And I talked to a couple of the guys, outside and said, what's your hope? What do you want to get out of this? They told me I'm going to make $70,000 a year. I was like, well, not if you can't read a micrometer, you're not. So I think the idea was good. The intent was good, but the way they went about it, it was flawed. And we didn't have any follow-up with these guys, but I got a feeling none of them made it to where they were going to go. So, and again, I fault the administrators, the people at the high school, and the people at my school who kind of put it together. They were just looking on paper to make this thing work, because then they look at funding and things like that and get the students through. But I don't think anybody was really looking out for these students. Like, none of the people who were involved besides us, the couple of us that actually dealt with the students, saw or could they even evaluate the fact what they could or could not do. And we saw it right away. I mean, you can tell right away. Damn, you're having trouble with a machinist scale, let alone I'm not putting you on a milling machine, or a lathe.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
It's really sad. Like when I was in school, they had shop and paint. They had a paint class. They had, wood class, all that. And you think now, what are these kids really doing if all those shops are closed down? Like what are they learning?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
My wife's a teacher, and she says that they push those tests. They're teaching kids how to pass these tests.
Teach to the test, yes.
When you're working somewhere, you're not taking a test.
No.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know.
I saw it with my own kids when they were going through high school. I would drive my kids to school every day, and we would talk about what they're doing. I'm very involved. And I would ask, like, what's going on? Well, we're going to have tests next week. So basically, when state testing came up, all teaching stopped. And the only thing they did was reviewed for that test for like 2 weeks to make sure those kids would get through, because that means the school's going to get state money. And I said, wait a minute, you got a week or two of school that you're not learning anything. And if you happen to be in good shape for this test, you're really not learning anything, because you could pass it now.
To memorize.
Yep.
Yeah, or you just grasp the subject matter. You just know it. So there's a big disconnect with teaching today. There really is.
When we were moving here, some of the younger kids were helping, and they were grabbing like furniture, like this one kid had his right arm holding the left leg of the furniture and his other arm over here. I'm like, bro, you're fighting yourself. It's like there's no what do you call it? Figuring something out. You know what I mean? He's like grabbing stuff all crooked.
I've seen that. And as funny as it is, it makes you, that's when I got it. That's when I got to step in and say, hey, listen, let me show you what to do. Just let me show you. And then, you take it from there, Yeah, we got to be the ambassadors. We have to more than ever. We have to look out for these kids. We really do, because they're not getting it in school. They're getting what the school wants them to get. Yeah, they're not getting that other education, and they're not outside learning it. Like we were taking apart lawn mowers and everything in sight. At 8, 10 years old, they're not doing that.
Yep. Critical thinking is gone.
Yeah.
If you're not allowed to be creative and create your own things and learn your own things, and like you say, just be taught to like go through the motions of doing this stuff. I mean, to have I'm sure these kids have ideas and wanting to do something, but if they're not enabled to do that because they have to go through and jump through the hoops to just take tests or whatever, then their dreams get crushed. You know what I mean? Because they have to be able to be turned loose on something. You have to point them in a direction to teach them. You can't you have to enable them.
Right.
Am I right? I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, if not, you're just pushing them. They're like drones getting pushed through something.
Yeah.
You have to see what's inside each one. Because some kids get it, some kids don't. Some need the help in some places. Some people need it in other places. We're not all built the same.
Yeah.
And
right.
There's creativity that just has to be. It just has to be there to start.
Yeah. I mean, one of the taglines we use on the radio show is that, we talk about it because we've bent it, broke it, burnt it. we've done that already, you know. So we've learned from it. So that's what we're going to talk about it. But one of the other things I love besides working with younger guys is at the shop where I work part time. There's a guy, I call him the kid. He's 46 years old. He looks young. He's from Guyana. He really does look like he's in his 20s. He works like a 20-year-old. He works all day. He's a great worker. And he's a body guy. And he's a fantastic body guy. And he's a good technician because he can figure things out with his hands. He had his own shop back in Guyana, so he did mechanical work. But whenever I'm working, you know, I do mechanical work. He always comes over to watch what I'm doing. He's like, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? So I get him indexed. He's got small hands. I get him to do the stuff that I can't get into. Not that I'm not good, but still, you know. And then I wander over to watch him fitting body panels. And I'm like, just show me what you're doing, man, because I don't know how to do that. And when I showed him, I had to swap the lug nuts on his Jeep one day. They were all rounded off. The covers had
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
So we got the turbo sockets. I showed him banging on, and he picked it up right away. So I did 5 and let him finish. And then I showed him, well, you know, you gotta torque these on. And I gave him my torque wrench. And he's like, wow, what do you use? I'm like, I know body guys don't use torque wrenches, but you're going to use the torque wrench. So I showed him. And then I watched, you know, he wiped it down, put it away in my toolbox. And then I went over there 5 minutes later and I said, I just have a hunch. I took the wrench back out. He never zeroed it out again. He didn't turn it down to 0. So I grabbed him and I said, hey, let me show you something. I said, this is the next step of using the wrench. You always turn it down to 0. He's like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm like, no apologies necessary. I'm just telling you. That's all. Just you know, this is the next step. And I know he's going to remember it for the rest of his life. He's not, because he's not a dummy. But I think as adults, and then teaching adults, like when we were in our 20s, you never want to tell your friends anything because you just screwed with them. Now's the time to, I found, swallow that pride. There is no pride anymore. You know, I tell them all the time. I said, I'll ask for help from anybody because you know what? I'm not that good. I know I'm not, you know, and I don't know it all. And I see that I love working with people who know more than me because now I have a learnable moment, you know?
Yep.
So, and he took that the same way. And it's so nice when you can do that. And then, you know what? I said, you can do that with younger guys too, with kids. If you treat them right and you don't treat them like they're stupid, they're going to learn, you know, and just give them that chance. Like you said, give them a chance, watch them, let them go, but watch them and just keep them on that right path. And, you know, they'll be golden usually. So, yeah.
Nelson Gill, he's involved with the young builders. They do the speed. Yeah. They build those motors out at SEMA. Did you see him?
Hot rods are tomorrow.
Hot rods are tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're you know what? That whole situation come out of Joliet, Illinois.
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, the engine shop we used started that with Winter Circle in Joliet.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice. That was very exciting. My wife even stopped and man, she was like, "Man, we gotta watch these kids." And, you know, she was really on that because those kids were working. They were really getting it. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's good to see. I mean, I think the youngest kid I've seen there was probably, I don't know, 10.
They've got a small class for like the 5-horse Briggs or something they're doing. Yeah. They start them really early now.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's
cool.
A
great thing. Yep.
That's really cool.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, you saw that little boy. I got to get him to bed. He's still.
He's swinging on the rafters.
Oh, man, I don't know what he's doing. I'm going to go upstairs and see a mess.
Maybe he's practicing his triplets.
Oh, but that's what he wanted to do. That's what he wanted to do.
Good.
Love the shirt, Ray. I'm going to Italian ices. Love it. Love it.
That's for John because John was always eating Marino's ices. So yeah.
Listen, Ron, Jeff, really solid having you here. Really beautiful, beautiful. Lewis Lee,
thanks,
you know what's up. Yep. Definitely. We'll be. Oh, by the way, Ron, I sent you Nelson Gill's stuff. I texted to you, so you got it now.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
No problem. Ray, be easy. Everyone in the room, be easy. Enjoy yourselves. All
right, Terry. Good night.
Good night.
We'll get somebody else in. Let's see who's in the chat. Who wants to jump in? Anybody want to ask any questions?
28 people tonight. That's a full house.
Yeah, we're jumping.
It's nice.
I haven't checked over at YouTube, but I know some people are over there jumping too.
You still simulcast it to YouTube, yeah?
Oh yeah, they're in Facebook.
Oh, that's what I mean. Facebook. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're worldwide, baby.
Right.
Let's see. Let's get who wants to jump in?
We might be able to use the laptop finally.
We're still.
Are you guys been on the phone?
Yeah, we're on a phone. We still can't get the laptop to work. I've been messing with it here and there, trying to get it to work. Yeah,
Let's get
the
Chaz
Chrome it won't allow me to use the microphone or camera for some reason. So
Yeah, I tell you, it's something finicky.
Yeah.
You know, and I think last week we had a lot of problems, but it was because everybody's home. You know what I mean? It just jammed up the systems.
Yeah.
They sent me a thing afterwards saying they were sorry that the system was flaky, but what are you gonna do?
Yeah, we were. Yeah, it was nuts last week.
All right.
Who would you have on last week?
We didn't have a guest. We were kind of freewheeling it, but we just had trouble connecting and getting on. Yeah.
Yeah, we there's Chassis John. He's the rich.
Guys?
He's the rich guy of the.
Oh yeah, right, sure.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Go ahead, introduce yourself.
My name's John. Former Long Island chassis builder living here in Tampa. And you guys got to come help me finish my car.
Oh, I'd love to.
Don't let him fool you. He's a builder.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I
you know
need
what?
help. I need help.
But that's the thing. If you can work with other builders who
Oh man.
you don't have to watch,
Yeah.
it makes it so much easier. It's so much nicer. It's
We
You
have to
know,
get
I've-
a lot done. The lighting.
I've been,
sucks.
I'm building a lowrider, 77 coupe, and so I've been watching a lot of videos of California stuff, and those car clubs out there, they do not play.
no.
They'll have a sand party. They'll have 20 guys come over and sand the car down, and then they'll have 10 more people come over and mask it out where they the stripes. Then they'll have 2 guys painting, 1 guy on each side. It's like unbelievable how these clubs work, man. They trade off chroming and everything. It's pretty slick.
Yeah.
That's cool if you can get that
Well,
done.
we
like
need to do
that.
some of that. That sounds like a good idea. That's why
Yeah.
I'm looking at you.
It really is a good idea, but like here in Ohio, everybody's jealous of each other. They're like, "Oh, I don't want to help you. Your car would be nicer than mine." What do you mean? Let's get it going. You know what I mean?
Get a paint gun fight.
Yeah.
That's the way to do it. That's the way.
One of my friends, Q, he was on Pimp My Ride. Q, me and him we were somewhere. We do a lot. We had a lot of shows around the country, and we were somewhere. And I was like, man, I love these lowrider paint jobs. And he was telling me that in California, all the family, the whole family does the car. Like they'll have like the little kids, they'll mask out, for the dad to come in and paint. Then the uncle will come over and do the stripes, and then the grandmother will come out and do something else. And he says the whole family is involved in all that stuff.
No joke. I was at the body shop today. I had to go and check on the guys putting a headliner on my car. That's one thing. I'll build the whole car, but I can't work over my head. I don't do sheetrock on a ceiling either. I'll do the wall, but I won't do the ceiling. So
Yeah.
I'd rather pay the guy to do it right. So he had some questions, and I shot down there to talk to him, and it ends up he's Roberto is his name. So we got to talking, and he showed me pictures on his phone of these cars that because he works with a limo builder that I know, and he's building a Volkswagen limousine with like bat fins on it, all from widening it, and I'm looking at these pictures, and it's like in this weird looking block garage, and there was kids working on the car. So I said, Roberto, where are these pictures taken? Oh, in my country. Like, where are you from? Mexico. Like, okay. I said, who are these people in the pit? Oh, that's my son. That's my grandson. That's the neighbor kid. Like, just like you said, all these kids get involved. And they're like, some of them like 10 years old. And
Yeah.
they're starting to work under his tutelage. I was like, wow, that is.
Yep, they're learning how to do it and building a sweet vehicle.
And he said, I can't do that here because I just couldn't afford a shop big enough. And over there, like I'm looking in the background of these pictures, and like somebody, it's a little shaky looking, like it maybe been under a house or something, and it was kind of a little fugazi, but they have the space, and he's building these custom cars. It's wild.
You see a lot of that in Puerto Rico.
Oh yeah, yeah.
When we were racing down there, running,
I need
their
somebody
circuit,
like that to get some stuff done.
you would see a ton of that.
Yeah.
They work in these like lean-tos. It's like all open.
Right.
Same way in California. The Mexicans in California and Texas, they could work all year round, so they're in just covered to keep the sun off them.
Yeah.
And they get it done. I seen a guy painting a custom lowrider outside, and I'm like, what about the dirt and dust? Yeah. And I'm telling you, this dude's painting award-winning lowriders.
Wow.
Yeah, I've seen that stuff done.
Yeah.
Sounds like Garage Club. We're painting out dust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, a little bit of dust can always get wet sanded out,
What's funny was he's talking about hobbies, and his hobbies, and he paints, he's a painter. So he says, oh, you have any, and he has a very broken English. And this guy I didn't ask him how old he is. He's got to be in his 70s. He's been around a long time. So I show him a picture of my drum set. He goes, oh, you play? I'm like, yeah, I'm getting back into drums. He's a dancer. He goes, what do you like to play? I said, well, I like jazz. I like big bands. He lit up. And like samba and salsa, he samba dances. It's in his 70s, so you can see he just went off on this whole tangent. He wasn't thinking cars anymore. He's thinking about, his other hobbies. So I love when you crack that veneer of somebody who started off really businesslike with me. And next thing you know, he's just like, just mush. It was great. It's have a good relationship with this guy. Give him some work.
That's cool.
Yeah. That's a good gearhead camaraderie, because we all have something in common. Then we become friends real fast. Right. And we can share anything.
Exactly.
Yep.
That's kind of how it is.
Yeah. You got to be open to it, though. You have to be open.
I get that when I go out to SEMA. I meet people out there, and it's just wow, man.
They can find you.
Yeah, John, hiding from me. Don't let him fool you. He was hiding. I seen everybody but him.
Dude, I was everywhere.
But meeting people out there, then they become friends. You know what I mean? Like it's really a good feeling, to have friends all over the country or the world, and you have the same stuff in common. You know what I mean? You can talk about anything. It's really a good feeling to meet people like that.
Cars and music.
It happens fast.
Things.
Like
right.
I've met guys like Tori DeBlasi recently.
Yeah.
Dave Ray, Shorty, Chag.
Shorty, yeah.
I can name all kinds of guys I've met, and it's just like boom, just like that. It's like, man, we could just share stories, have a good old time right now. I mean,
yeah, and
you've been friends forever,
And what's really good is the internet has connected us.
Right.
Like, we talked at the kicker party? Is that where we talked?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, we're at the kicker party, and now we talk online and and see each other on Facebook. It's pretty cool, I have to say.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now imagine if we had that available. Imagine if we had that available to us when we were in our 20s.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
Oh,
No
God,
kidding.
yeah.
The networking is pretty amazing.
We're at
It
the
really
end,
is.
Yeah, you're right. We're at the end of the line.
right?
Yeah, we can't fit under the car on the creeper now.
Thank God for that rotisserie.
Yeah, it's hard to get up off the ground when you're on
Listen,
Very hard.
the other day, my truck was making noise. I'm thinking, one of the carrier bearings or something going on under there, and I'm looking at my creeper and I'm like, dude, I don't feel like rolling under there. I'm taking it down to my buddy's shop. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Before I try to take it apart and do it myself. I was like, look, I'm going down the street to my buddy's shop.
Well, that's like, when I watch you guys on TV and I say, damn, everything is on jack stands in the garage. It's like, that's tough. It's really hard. The older you get, it's hard.
Yeah, and I was gonna say that you were talking about that earlier. And what's funny is the older you get, the more you go and grab all your tools and everything you think you're ever gonna need,
Take it with you.
down there.
Yeah.
So you have to get back up.
Right.
If not, it's like, hey, Kickster, can you grab me this? Or Sai, can you grab me that? Because once you're on, you don't want to get back up. It's just,
Yeah.
It does. It hurts. I mean, it does. You know.
Sure.
Listen, I got
So,
two
You can
creepers.
no longer read what the socket says.
Yeah.
you do.
So you got to buy the
And they're
high
both unused,
visibility
right?
sockets.
Oh, I got to tell you, I had a moment. You know, the whole big thing on the internet about the lost 10 millimeter sockets. I mean, there's memes about it. It's got a life of its own. You know, where 10 millimeter sockets show up.
Yeah.
So I don't lose tools because I keep them organized. But I took
Try not to.
I took the cowl, the vent cowl, off of my 65 Pontiac I'm working on. So where the wipers sit, you know, I took that cowl off so it could be the body work can be done. And between the cowl and the frame, the body of the car, I found a long 3/8 drive 1/4-inch socket. It got laid in there. And I'm like,
How long has
damn.
it been there?
I had to sit for a second and think. And then I remembered. I was like, you know what? I remember I had to see the Snap-on guy, and I had to order. I had to buy a 1/4-inch socket because I didn't know where my that's where my 1/4-inch socket went. That was my 10 millimeter equivalent.
Yeah, I got two creepers. One creeper for the tools, and the other one for me.
Oh, that's a good idea.
I'm telling you, man.
That's good.
I'll go up under there with everything.
You gotta.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, you never know. You never know what you need, and you never have everything.
There's that one 10 millimeter socket meme that says if you're using a 10 millimeter socket, you're not working on the right car.
right.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that's true. But all the modern
We
stuff
like our
today is
SAU
metric.
stuff on the old school stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it.
So,
I'm
John,
lucky.
you
I got my metric stuff relegated wrenches to one small drawer in my toolbox and sockets, one small drawer in my toolbox. And I'm talking like a 6-inch wide drawer.
You're lucky.
Everything else is American.
You're lucky.
Yeah. Well, I only work on American stuff.
But like I said, though, the newer stuff is metric.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
I know. It's ridiculous.
You know, I'll tell you one thing, John. That ratchet I showed you that I got from Brian. That the Macro. Well, we got a friend, Macro Man Brian, who's in the house.
Room.
Built me. It's a 1/4-inch drive ratchet. It's a locking flex head with a comfort grip. So it's only like 6 inches long, but he put a 3/8 drive head in.
Yeah.
That is becoming my go-to ratchet for like when I got to do close stuff. It is fast becoming one of my absolute favorite tools.
I got to chase the cat back in the house. I'll be right back.
So tools today have changed. I'm sure you guys have seen that, which is kind of nice. I mean, it kind of sucks because now I'm buying tools again and spending more money. But it's nice because the tools I'm buying are really helping to get the job done. They really they're getting better. How do you guys? Do you have just like a general tool stash that you use, or do you have your individual stuff that you have with you for the show?
We mainly have like 2 toolboxes that are set up with like the same stuff, and we kind of position those around the garage, and then we kind of leave Joe with one just because he likes to have a couple of his own things in there. So
yeah, he has engine building cart basically.
Yeah,
He's usually in control of that. We leave him alone, leave his stuff alone. That way he can do his thing. And then we've got our matching roll arounds, and then it's really all general stuff. They're nothing too special. We might dip in our own tools. We might bring like the battery powered 90-degree, ratchets and impacts nowadays are really super duper nice.
Oh yeah.
And so we might bring some of that stuff from home, but there's nothing too special we have,
With the battery powered tools, do either of you guys have a preference to
savior.
A manufacturer?
Yes.
What's
Yeah, the Milwaukee's we think are the best.
yeah.
Milwaukee? Yeah,
I mean,
Yeah, Milwaukee's good.
that fuel
I
series.
still love this.
What's that, Jeff?
I still love the Snap-on, like the 90-inch,
Yeah.
or the 90-degree like ratchets and stuff like that. I still like those ratchets, but it seems like the big heavy-duty impacts, like the 1/2-inch and the 3/8, it seems like the Milwaukee's are kind of taking the lead on those.
Yeah.
Yeah, and at that point, it gets old having 10 different chargers, so you just go with one and be done with it.
Right. Yep.
And then you miss one battery for one machine and it's junk. So if you just
Yeah.
share them all batteries, that's the way to do it. So we kind of starting to lean toward Milwaukee, but we had some other stuff there.
I was using this today. This thing is awesome. It's like pretty much an electric. It's like an electric version of like the 90-degree like sand.
Oh yeah, a little,
it's a snap-on
whiz wheel.
This thing is awesome. It's a buddy of mine. He let me use it.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I had all the Snap-on stuff that took that, and I don't know. I'm starting to migrate over to Milwaukee. It's a little bit cheaper, and I can go to a store and buy it if I need one.
You go Lowe's, yeah.
Versus waiting for somebody to bring me one or something. It's just easier that way.
Yeah. I told the story on the show before, but one day I was doing the guy I work with at the shop has all the new Snap-on battery powered stuff, and we share tools, so I use his stuff because I actually cleaned it and put it away more than he does. But I pulled out one day. He comes in the shop. He goes, well, "What's that noise? What's that noise?" I'm like, "What noise?" "That noise I just heard." So I kind of reached down and I pulled the trigger and I made that noise. I showed him I'm using a pneumatic air ratchet. I'm like, "I'm doing brakes, man." I said, "Every shop in the world, this is all you heard. You're running out caliper bolts is on the pneumatic air." He goes, "Wow, I never heard that before." I'm like, "Oh, come on." Like,
that's the sound we all grew up with.
Yeah, standard,
Yeah.
Yeah, the electric ones are really, really nice, man.
Oh, I know.
They
They are.
drag around. If you work in an interior doing a aftermarket radio or something, you get a little 1/4-inch one up in there, electric. Man, they are sweet.
Yeah, I've grabbed him more than a few
dragging a
times.
greasy hose.
When I decided to get some battery stuff, I called 2 of my friends that are full-time mechanics for like 30 plus years. And they both told me 20-volt DeWalt's. The same battery fits everything. I have a flashlight from them. I've got multiple drills, impacts. Stuff just works. And they charge up real fast. So that's good.
Yeah.
Where'd they go?
We lost them. Let's see, let me check.
Their battery probably died.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
John, you know that story. That's happened to you.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Stinks.
Yeah.
It's happening to me too.
I hope they come back, man. Those guys are good.
Yeah, very good.
It's a show I like watching.
I liked it when they had Heather on the show. I liked, she brought a lot to it. I thought
Heather's cool.
Yeah.
I follow her new Facebook page.
Okay.
Yeah, she's good people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, just to have that, just have a woman's input and who can work. It's. I think that's good in this day and age.
Well, they got what's her name on there now. She used to be. She used to work at the same studio as Lou. What's her face?
All Girls Garage.
Oh yeah. Christy Lee, right?
Christy
Lee.
Yeah. I don't know how much she actually knows.
I don't know.
No.
Maybe more of a pretty face.
Yeah. Brand recognition.
Yeah. And she's doing a lot of that. She's got a lot of commercials.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, she's all over.
Yeah. Was that she's doing a commercial for one of those companies that sells all those restoration parts?
Yeah. Yeah.
Was it some Parts Depot or something?
No. She's at
there you go. They'll know. What's the company Christy Lee's advertising for now that sells resto parts?
Can you guys hear us?
Yes.
Yeah, we hear you.
Had a little accidentally clicked on something on his phone and then it booted us off, and now we're back and the computer's working now. So
nice.
Right. The original Parts Group.
That's
OPG.
OPG.
Sorry about that.
No, you're good. So the guys had a question about Christy Lee. Does she know what she's doing?
Oh yeah.
You're gonna have to re-ask that question.
All right, can you guys hear us?
I don't know. You guys got audio?
Can you hear us?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. The fellows were asking about Christy Lee. Does she know what she's doing?
Yeah, you know what? I think she knows a fair amount. I mean,
Yeah,
she's pretty good.
She's pretty handy, and she doesn't mind getting in there and knocking it out for sure.
That's cool.
Yeah, I was talking to her. Was it last year? No, the year before at the Velocity party up at Elvis's suite. Were you there?
Oh yeah, we were there.
Yeah, I was talking to her up there, and my camera guy was with me, and I was like, "Hey, man, if he's a creeper, let me know. We'll get the security and get him out of here."
Oh gosh,
Dude, that was a heck of a place, right? Elvis's suite.
that's a lot of fun up in there. That's really cool.
Yeah, it really is. Yep, had probably 15 bathrooms in it.
Oh yeah, it's pretty crazy up there. That's sweet.
Yeah, that place is cool. That was really neat.
They kept it the same except for like his personal stuff, but everything else, like the furniture and everything, was still the same as what he had there. It was pretty cool.
Really?
Yeah. Big place. Got a swimming pool and it's up on the roof. So it has a swimming pool in the courtyard, and it's pretty hooked up, man.
We stayed at that hotel for a couple of SEMAs, and then my wife was like, I'm not staying here anymore because the place is a shithole.
Well, it's convenient to the SEMA, though. You know what I mean? As far as
I know, it was absolutely. That's the reason. I'm a car guy. I just want to be able to go downstairs and walk in.
Yeah,
it's so hard to get around, and parking and all cars and Uber and taxis, and I don't want to do none of that stuff.
Pain in the neck. But then we found the Venetian, and I'm like, you know what? I'll stay at the Venetian because you just get on that monorail, 2 stops, boom, boom. You walk down the steps, there you are.
Yeah,
you come right in by Ford, where the outdoor Ford exhibits are.
Yeah.
It seems like the monorail on the wrong times is a real son of a gun though to maneuver as well.
Yeah.
It can get completely crowded over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you either leave early or you leave super late, and then you can kind of get on at a reasonable time.
Yeah,
exactly.
You know, a couple years back, the Uber was pretty cool, but now they make you go around to the back of the place, so it's like it messes you up over there. Because I used to get Airbnb, and then I would take the Uber, but man, they got you messed up.
That's what we did this past year. We stayed probably the farthest we've stayed away yet. And we were just like a block off the strip at those MGM towers.
Oh yeah.
And we got a good deal on an Airbnb. We had like 5 people in that room.
Yeah,
it's like a couple bedroom suite that we got.
Yeah, a bunch of guys just split it up.
There you go.
You know,
it ended up being like $300 a person for the whole week. So
we had Paul Jones in there with us.
Oh yeah.
Who?
Yeah, Paul Jones from Speed is the New Black.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Paul's one of the billers in the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah. Man, I hope we have SEMA this year. This would be my 15th. My 15th year. Yeah. So if we don't have it, then that's messing up my my role.
Well,
Lewis, do you get all those little things that you add to your credentials?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so you must look like a freaking 5-star general.
Yeah, I'm a diplomat.
yeah. You know, people got to get out of your way.
Listen, every year I get denied, and I got to resend my stuff in. It's unbelievable. I'm like,
I have not had to re-register in like 12 years.
Dude, I'm telling you, I'm so flustered, and I had to throw some names this year. Because
really?
I sent it. Yeah, man. Look, I sent my stuff in.
Because you're going in as media. That's the problem.
Media. Yeah. So they denied me, and they said I had to send in like a whole bunch of stuff. So I started sending in videos of people that were on the board that was on the show. So I send that stuff in. I'm like, okay, here's a video. Here's this, blah, blah, blah. I started throwing all kinds of stuff. I was like, I think it's because I'm black. And man, listen. They got back to me so quick. They was like, "Oh, it's not that. You know, we're just going." I was like, "It's like we got you covered. You got dinner and everything." Yep.
That's wild.
They dog me out every year, man. It's crazy.
Every year I get that email. You coming? How many people are coming? And here's what it costs.
So I don't know, man.
Send
I
and
don't
they
know.
send the credentials. I get the credentials. You know. I'll tell you what pisses me off though is they'll send my credentials, and they don't send the stuff for Barb.
Mhm.
Your wife has to. You got to walk down that line, and then they hook you up over there. I guess because a lot of people were saying their wives were just some chick they were screwing or something and drag them
Yeah.
in. I don't know. What's the difference?
Well,
Whether
listen,
you're bringing your girlfriend or you're bringing your sister or you're bringing your wife, why don't you send a credential? Why do I got to
Right.
go wait on this dumb line for spouses?
well, listen, we got ours, right? But then media gets in early. So we go early, and they wouldn't let my wife in. I'm like, listen, she's the CEO. You got to let her in. She's the boss.
Yeah.
The heck?
I don't get it. There's stuff that's just weird, totally weird about it. And then they had all that crazy ass security this year was the worst.
Oh yeah,
You
they
know,
wasn't playing.
but yet the biggest security leak, which I told a couple of people from SEMA, I'm like, you guys are totally missing the boat here if you're so worried about everything. Anybody can come on that monorail and get off at that exit there and walk down, and you are literally outside building.
Yeah.
You don't have a badge. You don't have anything. All you got to do is just come in on that monorail, walk down the steps, and there you are. You walk right in by the Ford outside display. You have complete access to everything that's outside, and you are not somebody that's on the deal.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of people walking around that did not have lanyards. They were just there to, gawk and check stuff out. And they're worried about crowd control and all this other stuff. And I told a couple people that, are on the ladder there for SEMA. I'm like, you guys are totally missing the boat here.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, well, we'll look into it for next year. I'm like, yeah, well, you should if you're so worried about security.
Right.
Well, I hope they have it this year. I hope this stuff breaks, man, because that's my getaway. You know what I mean? To see all my friends and and steal ideas for stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I feel like going there kind of gets you motivated to get going on your stuff again. Like I kind of lose interest after working all day on the show, and then during the summer I kind of don't get much done on my own stuff. That's for sure. Yeah. So going there kind of gets me motivated again to get going.
Yeah, it's a reboot.
Kind of hoping my junk will be 3/4 done by the time that show comes around. You guys insulted me when you talked about those Trans Ams.
Yeah, I felt the burn, man. I felt the burn.
Look what's sitting over there.
Sorry about that.
That's a big boy.
That's the one that needs the help. Back in 1992, that was one of the 10 fastest street legal cars in America.
Then what happened?
I sold it. As a matter of fact, the car was. You guys know Steve Johnson? He owns a company called Induction Solutions. It's a nitrous company. He's from Illinois.
Okay.
And he was racing the car. He had it for a while, and then it got sold 3 other times. And then my wife was like, "You ought to find your old car and figure out what happened to it." And I did, and it came back like that as a basket case.
And then you saw what really happened to it.
Then I saw what really happened to it. Yeah, and I'm like, "Oh my God! All I got is a roof and quarter panels." So I'm going to revitalize it.
Pretty cool that you found it and got it back, though. That's
that's the cool part. That's the really cool part is that I actually got it back. And some of the stuff that was on it is untouched since I put that stuff in, like, God, the late 80s, And then, but I'm just.
What got left untouched? What's been like a bracket or something?
There was some tin work, the tubs, the panel with the Pontiac logo in the middle between the tubs.
Right.
That's there. Well, the housing, the 9-inch housing and the 4-link and a couple other things.
Everything else.
Everything else has been butched. Like, I'm talking crazy, disgusting butched. Unreal.
It's amazing how people's vision on fixing stuff is so different. It's so wide.
I've had people because if you guys do you guys go on Facebook at all?
Every once in a while.
Go look up Half Breed the Resurrection. Find the page Half Breed the Resurrection. That's the Facebook page for that car. And in there, look, just drill down a little bit and click photos and take a look at the crap that I pulled out of the car. None of that stuff was in the car when I owned it. We're talking about an 8-second street legal car. I used to drive this thing to work at the speed shop, drove it everywhere and raced it. And it was an 8-second car. And I got rid of it and it stayed like that while Steve had it. And then when he sold it, everybody had a better idea.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Then
it
it
just
got slower and slower. Yeah.
slower. I got the car from a guy in Pennsylvania. I'm like, all right, tell me what you got going on here. So it had a 615 with nitrous. Well, I got it back. It had a 468 with 13-to-1 pistons in it with a power glide, and the car goes 1070s.
Oh, jeez.
Wow.
I'm like, yeah, okay. Talk about progress. You know,
It's
just insane.
It's not even with auto. It's in, like, I bought this house. It's an old house. It was built in the 30s. But man, I'm pulling stuff out, and I'm like, why did they do this? They're running. They ran the water pipes around the chimney down in the basement to go over to the one spot right next to it.
Wow,
that's weird.
I mean, just weird stuff. I'm finding weird stuff all over the house. I'm like, what's this guy thinking?
That's the problem. Was cheap.
Yeah, I don't get it. And so, when you look into cars, you're like, man, what is this guy thinking?
Yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, if you go on that page, you'll just laugh at this stuff. I documented everything that I pulled out of that car. Kinked half-inch aluminum fuel line. When they did the brakes, I guess whoever was redoing the brake system did not own a flaring tool and a tubing cutter, so they just bought pre-flared sections of brake line, and if it was too long, they just kind of bent it in a couple of loops.
Yeah.
Wait till you see the photos of it. It's ridiculous. The gas pedal is hung. The gas pedal's hung on a piece of black iron pipe. There's photos of it. They took a threaded plate and welded it to the bottom of the cowl, put a short piece of pipe, put a galvanized 90, and then a piece of black iron pipe going all the way over to the passenger side kick panel, and then hung a gas pedal off of that. And it didn't even fully weld the bracket. It's like so cold, it looks like two BBs holding the bracket on. It's just I was laughing when I saw what was going on. I'm like,
it was a good idea at the time.
Horrible. Yeah, really horrible. I'm throwing everything away. Just getting rid of it all. Stripped it. I got a video coming out in a couple of weeks. I'm waiting for the guy to finish editing it. We just completely tore everything apart. So all I got is a rolling body right now. And that's it. That's all I can use.
Yeah, you're better off starting from scratch.
Yeah, well, I'm just going to drop the chassis right out of it and then just build a whole new tube chassis.
Yeah.
And be done with it. It's a mess.
That's right. You need that frame table.
Yeah. Oh, hey.
High above you.
Yes, right above me.
Yeah.
Lewis, I may be sending you on a trucking job.
Hey.
There's a guy up your way. That built, this is his second one, Daytona Charger, Pro Street Daytona Charger with a big blown Keith Black Hemi. Car's awesome. And he built a really, really nice chassis table, and he has no use for it, and he only wants $1,500 for it.
Okay. Let me know.
There's $2,000 in material and probably about 80 to 90 hours labor in what he did to build this table. It's a beautiful table.
Wow. And
it's on wheels. And it would need to be trucked down here to Florida so I could use it to do the Trans Am.
How big is it? What kind of
it's 16 feet long.
So I can do it on a car trailer, basically.
Yeah. It's a 16-foot chassis table.
Let me know, because maybe I'll do a vacation, bring the table trip.
Sure, that'd be really cool.
We make it happen.
I'm trying to get this Camaro finished here, so I got room, and then I got room to put the table in here and do what I got to do.
That's coming together too. You're getting close.
Oh yeah. I got the headers in it. I tried calling that company out in California to get that Hydro Boost piece.
Right.
They're closed, totally closed.
Wow.
Because of the way California's got their rules, they don't even want these guys working at all.
Yeah, they're locked down. Papa Squirrel in the chat room.
They're totally locked down. I can't even. I listened to this message, and you can't even order online or anything.
What about from like Master Power? There's got to be someone on the East Coast that can. They're big with that stuff.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, Hydro Boost. They're all basically the same, right?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, call Carmine. He's in PA now.
Yeah. All right, I'll do that.
Yeah.
I'll call Master Power because I don't have. There's no room in here for any kind of booster.
Ronnie,
I'll show you.
With the virus, like ordering parts or anything?
Well, it's a concern of mine. We haven't started ordering yet, but I've talked to the production guy. I've talked to Joe. I'm like, one of the concerns for us once we get going is what's going to happen. Who's out of stock on stuff? What's going to be missing off the shelves? What can't we get in a timely fashion? Because a lot of stuff is made overseas. And and like he's saying about California, I didn't realize they were on that much lockdown.
Yeah.
As he's talking, I'm already thinking, I'm like, what are we going to do? Because a lot of our stuff comes out of California.
Yep.
And not just that, but the slow shipping too. So if we get in a pinch and we can't get something in a quick time, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
So
it's going to be a problem.
This affects how we're going to build our cars and just how they're going to get built. It's going to be a different season altogether when we don't know what we're in for yet.
Yeah.
So
I was lucky that these headers from Lemons that he had them built on time.
They are gorgeous too.
And then shipped them out to me. So that was all before this, stuff started happening.
Yeah.
But God, could you imagine if I'd be waiting for a set of headers from him now? Forget about it. Yeah, he did a great job. That was the easiest way to go.
Gorgeous.
He knew about the chassis. He knew about the engine. He knew about the raised port heads. And these headers, they fit so unbelievably. They're like nowhere near the block. They're nowhere near the frame. They don't interfere with anything. You could literally put your hand between the headers and the chassis everywhere.
That's always an issue.
Wow.
The headers
Yeah. I don't know if you can see them too good. It's hard to do this. Hold on a second here.
So what motor is that? A V6?
Yeah, right. Look how much room there is here.
Plenty of clearance. Yeah, look at that.
yeah, that's great.
Yep. There's a ton of room.
That's nice.
2 1/8 primaries. Each tube is separate, and they got a slip collector, and then he gave me V-band reducers with the O2 sensors in them.
Right.
We lost him. Well, hey guys, I have to jump off because I'm old and I got to get in bed. But hey, man, I really appreciate you guys coming on, man. Hey, you're family now. You're part of the Planet Traffic family. So anytime you want to come on, just come on or let me know. I'll get you on if you have something new you want to talk about, or even with your school stuff. If you got something coming up with schools, let me know. We'll get you in.
Okay.
For sure. Anytime.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Yep. We had a good time. A nice meeting you guys too.
Yeah, thank you.
Pleasure.
Yeah, pleasure. And I will get a hold of you sometime not next week, but the week after. I'm on vacation again. So
Okay.
We'll get together and do some talking,
Sounds good. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys. And be safe up there in Chicago and stay away from the virus. 6 feet apart. You know what I mean? Yeah, you're kind of close there, buddy. All right. But listen, you guys can stay on. I'm going to jump off and I'm going to let some other people on so you guys can stay on. I think Ray, we got another half hour?
We got like 15 minutes.
Okay. So yeah, just stay on if you want to chat with the guys, and I'll let some other people in.
Okay.
All right. I'll talk to you later. Thanks.
All right, thank you.
See ya.
Good night, Lewis. Yeah, boy, this was an event-filled night, man. This was a good show. This is very good.
It's our first one.
Yeah, I love, we cover a lot of information like that because it's. I mean, we've had a lot of guests through the years, and some guys talk about just one or two things or whatever. But I feel we were all over the place tonight, which I like it that way. 'Cause it's a real conversation. It's a real
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, like I said earlier, you meet somebody and you hit it off, and boom, you can talk about anything. That's the kind of stuff I like.
Exactly.
We could talk about food, we could talk about cars, we could talk about whatever.
We've had that said about the radio show all the time. Like, you guys, you're talking about like lawnmowers and ceiling fans. I joke years ago. I was kind of I was at home for a while. I just had to stay close to home. So I was doing all these crazy projects. And one of the cars I own is a little Fiat Spider, a little 2-seat convertible. So I was playing around it, and a buddy of mine gave me the idea of making an air cleaner out of a ceiling fan, because it's a Hunter ceiling fan, and it just kind of looked like an air cleaner, So I said, you know what? I'm going to do that. And I did, and cut it out for the Weber carburetor perfectly and all. And I made the premier mistake that a car guy should never make. I didn't test fit it until the very end. And when I went to close the hood, it didn't close. Duh. Stupid. So now it became a piece of wall art. You hang it on the wall, So I talked about it on the radio show about the ceiling fan. And we had a guy call in and said, "Hey, I heard you guys talking about ceiling fans. Can you help me diagnose a problem I'm having with my ceiling fan? I mean, like a regular electrical ceiling fan." And he was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Okay, I know electricity." Like, yeah, what's the problem? So we literally were talking about ceiling fans. So, like I said, it's like, wherever, man, we'll just go wherever the conversation takes us.
Well, that's just it too. You take your knowledge and you apply it to ceiling fans, or your refrigerator is making a noise. You look it up, do some information, you find the part, you will change it out. Big deal.
Right.
Cost you $20 for a $2,000 refrigerator. What are you gonna do?
Exactly.
Or we just apply our knowledge everywhere. That's what makes us handy.
Exactly.
So,
Well, I remind my wife that all the time. I'm like, okay, this would have been like a $300 repair if you had to call a guy. So it took me a half a day, and I cursed a little bit, and got in your way. I said, but it's fixed.
Yep.
And that's what you have me here for. It's like lawn care and vehicle maintenance. It's like that's.
I was gonna say it too. The lawnmower breaks down. What do? You leave it sit there? No. You take it apart. You fix it. Just nuts and bolts, right?
I've had the same lawnmower for 20-something years. I've rebuilt it, I think, 3 or 4 times already. Just as long as they keep making parts, just give your stuff wears out. It's just like a car. You just replace it. That's it.
Yeah.
Change the oil every season. I tell people that, people never change the oil in their lawnmowers.
Never.
You know what? Beginning of every season, fresh oil. And
well, that's just it. We don't buy nothing new, do we? None of us do. I mean, come on, do we? Do we really? I don't.
Rarely. Yeah.
I mean, I won't buy a new lawnmower. Yeah, only new parts for the car, for the hot rod.
Right.
No new mowers, no new nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things we were doing years ago is I hooked up a company that does oil testing, and they made a device that you could put the oil in, and it'll tell you with an LED scale. So I was checking the oil that I was taking out of my cars, and it was all testing good. So I said, wait a minute. I went to my waste bin of oil, which has all sorts of oil in it. It's got gear oil in it. It's got gas and antifreeze in it. And I checked a sample of that, and that even checked acceptable. I'm like, come on. This thing has got to be, this has got to be bogus. I said, I went to the worst oil I had, and it checked acceptable. So I said, let me go to the lawnmower, because it's air cooled. I took a sample of that oil out, the old oil, and it tested dead bad. I said, okay, the gauge works.
No kidding.
Lawnmower oil gets beat up, man. It really does.
Why doesn't the oil test show the antifreeze? I don't understand that.
Well, it's like a waste oil bucket. I have kind of like a catch-all thing. So there's different oils, but it may get a little bit of antifreeze in there, and maybe some brake fluid, and just like that conglomeration. So off at the top, I guess. Maybe it's separated. I don't know.
Okay, maybe it just didn't make it. Okay, I see.
Yeah,
the coolant goes to the bottom, right?
there's a sensor, and it actually measures the light transmission through the sensor, and that's kind of the metric that they figured out that worked. You know, and then they backed it up with other testing. But yeah, lawnmower oil, dead bad.
Bad. Okay.
So change it all the time. Change it once a year. That's it.
I wonder if it's like the same kind of sensor that they put on newer cars to see how dirty the oil is.
I wondered about that. Yeah, I often wonder how they know. You know, my wife's car has a an oil life meter, and I've always gone by mileage. You know, and I've kept it up with the newer oils and the the synthetics and all. And hers, I've been kind of going by that now, and I tested the oil with this sensor, and it's still I'm using synthetic oil. It's a Dexos oil, and it's testing okay. It's still testing good. So
that Dexos, I was going to say that too. It's like some cars are specific, and I'll tell you what, abide by those rules. They've got to figure it out for a reason.
Yeah,
that Dexos and those GMs needs to be there.
Yeah,
I found that out kind of the hard way a little bit, but it I don't know that much about oils, but it means something.
We've always talked about this on the radio show about how the engineers get paid a lot of money to figure things out. So you got to use that as, the way they put things in cars is something we could all argue about, but the engineering behind how the components are designed and with oil is a science. And like, who am I to second guess them?
Right.
So people have always asked, well, you got, like, we're talking about high performance and heavy duty, and like, well, some guys like things all stock. I happen to modify everything I own. And I say, well, my thought on that is the engineers made a stock product very good and viable for the mass consumption. But companies like Edelbrock and Holley and Willwood, you name it, they took that as their starting point and went from there to the next level. So that's why those products are, geared for the next level of expertise, if you will. I don't know, but yeah. So John's back in the house. All right, very good.
That was weird. I got knocked off, and then when I went to go back on, the website came back and said that there was problems.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I couldn't get back on.
All right. No, you're back now. It's good. Yeah, we're almost. They should knock us off in like 9 minutes. So, what happened with the Dexos? What was the so moment that gave you an issue?
Oh, so we got a little Equinox for a daily driver, and there's two sensors on the top of the 2.4 for the cam timing, something like that. And I wasn't running Dexos. I was just like whatever 530 or whatever the engine call for, I just put in there. And each sensor started going out one at a time after one. And I started doing a little bit of research, and it turned out, the Dexos, I guess the orifice is small on that sensor or something. For the Dexos needs to pass through there for some reason or whatever. And without that Dexos in there, it was hurting it. I went to Dexos, having another problem.
Yeah, the variable valve timing, those passages are very, very small.
Yes. Yeah. And that's what got me too. He's like, okay, well, I'm not going to, because when one of those goes out, shit goes into a nasty limp mode that the car don't like it at all.
My wife Cruz did the same thing. Went to that limp mode. Woo, that's no fun.
Yeah. So no more of that,
Right.
It's a great car,
Yeah. Yeah, the Ecotech engines it's a marvel. It's I think in years to come, that's going to be one of the engines that gets a lot of credit from GM.
Well, and I've earned a lot of respect for that one, just the fact what Bruno does with his. Have you seen Bruno's cars with his little Ecotech engine?
Yeah.
Like 13 or 1400 horsepower at a 2.0 engine. That is astounding.
Yeah, ridiculous.
And that thing cranks up. It just sings down that drag strip. Unbelievable how well that thing runs and what it can do.
Yeah.
Just total respect.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and even in the daily driver, like one of my wife's car, it's a turbocharged engine. You'd never know it. It doesn't say it anywhere in the car. There's no boost gauge. You can't feel it. But, engine management is a little 1.4. And when I first test drove the car, if you would have asked me what engine is this, I would have said that's a V6. It's probably a small 6, like a 3 liter. No, 1.4 liter turbocharged 4. I'm like, wow.
It's amazing.
Yeah, definitely amazing. Unreal. Wild stuff. But yeah.
So any hints on what we can expect to see this year? Stuff that's in the can already?
No, we don't really even know much, unfortunately.
What's your? In other words, what's your? I guess we'll say lead time between when you actually do an episode and when it comes out. You guys run a really tight schedule that way?
Typically, beginning of the season, we know more than half of the cars.
Yeah.
We don't know anything for sure just yet. I don't think. Just
yeah,
because of
nothing's in
everything going
stone.
on.
The way it's all going down, and they're wanting to keep the social distancing. So, I mean, some cars got looked at, but nothing's in stone because we're pushed back so far. They're just kind of like, well, do what you can, but we're not doing nothing. Does that make sense? It's just kind of weird the way it's all working out right now.
I love when I love it when I look at the show and you can tell this garage didn't look like that like a month ago. Like you can tell the thing has been spick and span cleaned. All the rakes are gone. The shovels are gone.
Yes.
Like, this garage did not look like that a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I mean, and sometimes people kind of over clean their stuff, and production just like, you know what, leave it alone. It's kind of like a garage. Don't worry about it. But people go through and they scrub everything up, and it's just like, we don't need all that. We're just gonna come do the car like anybody would, you know.
Right.
But they like to have their place trying to look nice and all that stuff. That's cool, you know.
Yeah, fun stuff.
But as far as lead time goes as well, it's like when is our season finale be right around SEMA time usually.
Yeah.
So we'll quit filming mid-September. So
Wow.
it's about 6 weeks behind, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're filming. We're good into the season while episode 1 starts. You know.
Yeah.
FTV.
And we'll know what vehicles are being done. You know. I don't know.
And our lead time for as far as builds for getting ready, we're probably 2 or 3 weeks ahead of the game on that.
Yeah.
Generally, further out the better. But sometimes it's just difficult, you know. And when there's so much scheduling involved with Christy doing her things, Bruno doing his things, and the car owners when they can be off to do this from their work.
Yeah.
It's probably one of the biggest things for Garage Squad is scheduling.
Scheduling's big, because I know, Bruno's still coming here to Tampa to do Truck U, right?
Yes, he is.
Okay, so he's got that. He's got his NHRA deal if that ever comes back.
Yeah.
And then Christy, she does the auctions too, right? Barrett Jackson.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
So she's involved in a bunch of. That's a lot of juggling.
That's a lot of juggling. Well, and then we come in, we do the show, and then we kind of have regular day jobs in the off season.
Sure.
Plus, I kind of got my own shop. I do stuff in. Then we just take out what we can until the next season. So we just. Ooh, excuse me. We're lucky to be able to come and go from some jobs to make this stuff happen. You know.
Yeah.
Because it's only like 7 months for us to do this. So there's some downtime.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. John, it's nice you work at home.
Let me tell you something. I've been able to get a lot done thanks to this.
Yeah. Yep.
Definitely.
Being a one-man guy, because I came from, this was my business when I lived in Long Island. I had a big chassis shop. At one point I had 10 guys working for me. Had an 8,000 square foot shop. We were kicking out tube chassis cars and pro street stuff and comp eliminator, doing a lot of that. And I got bored with it and tired, and I'm like, I'm out. And then of all things, I wind up going into the aquarium business. I've done that TV show Tanked, so I know what that stuff's all about. Nuts. So this is very, very, very part-time for me. It was really just to do the restoration on the Trans Am, and it turned out to be other stuff. I got a guy that lives in South Florida. I built him a 67 Camaro, a tube car, years ago. I think it was like 92 or something. No, it was probably before. I think it might have been 89. A guy named Dino. And he ran into a concrete stanchion with the car at low speed at the pits at Palm Beach Raceway. And he tore up the nose and tore the passenger side strut off the car.
Wow.
And he called me up and he's like, dude, I don't know what to do. besides myself. I'm like, put it in the trailer and bring it up. I'll fix it for you. He was like, really? Like, yeah. I said, I'm not a full-time chassis guy. I said, but I haven't forgotten the things. I know what to do. So I fixed his car up for him. And then one thing leads to another, and then you get another project, and I'm doing this 67 Camaro, and my car's just sitting off on the side.
Yeah, that's exactly what happens.
Yeah, but I got to get it done. So as soon as this Camaro rolls out, then I got room to do what I need to do. I got all the equipment. I actually had a shop when I got